Awesome. All right, welcome back to the Kentucky Kernel News Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Lucas, with my co-host, Giana Gallo. Would you like to say hi?
Hi, everybody.
So today we'll be talking to a member of the Kernel who specializes in photography. We'll talk to him about his experiences doing some work for the Kernel, and then we'll finish it off with scoops out of the litter as usual. Disclaimer. The opinions expressed on this podcast are the speaker's own and do not reflect the opinions held by the Kentucky Kernel. All right, let's go. All right, so today we have on only one guest. Could you introduce yourself real quick?
My name is Matthew Mueller.
And then can you tell us what you do at the Kernel, too?
I'm a staff photographer, so I just help out around shooting events on campus, life, stuff like that, or if there's the occasional protest, you know.
Yeah.
That occasional protest.
So tell us what you've been doing lately.
Most recently I went and shot all the sledding that was happening down at, the bowl at Willie T. And that was just, most recent, what took up most of my time. But after that, I also shot the, Martin Luther King Day, walk, too.
I was looking into some of your stories that you've published for the Kernel photo-wise. You did the 6th Annual Kentucky Black Pride Festival. You worked on the governor's election this year. You did the pro-Palestinian protest at the Capitol on Election Day. Then you did this UK staff senator that writes poems. And now you did the Bowl Snow Day and the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom March. What has been your favorite story to cover photo-wise?
Oh, God. You know what? I want to say, so far, the bowl, it's just been so different than what I normally cover with athletics and with the Kernel, too. It was just something interesting, so different, you know. I'm just out in the cold with everybody else. I'm trying to get a photo with a flash, but also trying to, make sure I'm not getting hit by a sled that's coming down or somebody in a shopping cart. But that's absolutely the most fun I've had, just because it was a different kind of photography. Yeah. Even though people saw me with a camera, there was only so much they could pay attention to me, and it was just really nice, candid shots of everybody, and I really had a fun time with it.
What was the atmosphere like those nights that you went? Because how many nights did you go to shoot?
I went 3 nights all in a row, and every night it was chaotic. Mm-hmm. I think around midnight was the peak. You know, that's when everybody would eventually get there, and that's when, the shopping carts would get brought out, or they would bring the shopping carts out with the big metal bench and put it on top, or, use the poor robots to go down the hill with. But, yeah, it was chaotic every single night. The shots I got were super cool. Eventually they kind of got it, the same over and over, but, still people, you've managed to find something new to shoot every night.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what the bowl is?
The bowl, it's just a big dip, in front of the Willie T. Library. This is my second semester at UK. So, to me now, it's just, this one ground. Every time I look at it, I'm just going to think of, a shopping cart with 11 people, rushing at me. And that's what the bowl is going to be to me now.
Yeah. And so these people were able to go sledding because of all this winter weather we've been having, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty cold lately. So what was probably, the weirdest thing that you saw go down that bowl?
Oh, dude, it was the robot.
Yeah.
The shopping carts, at least it made sense. There's a place for you to sit down and, you can, at least protect yourself. But, as soon as I saw the little, Starlink robot going down the hill, I was like, I didn't think people would grab that. And, they were riding it down the hill, and then, later on through the night, I kind of lost it, but I saw it again, and it had lost a wheel. Yeah, and then you lose it again for an hour, and then you see it again, and it had lost 2 of the wheels, and it's banged up on the other side, and I'm like, that robot's going through it, man. It is not in a good way.
Yeah, justice for the robot.
I also saw people using bird scooters. The creativity these students had was honestly impeccable, and you can see in the photos you've taken, cardboard, and then some people just sled on their stomachs or their backs, and then tote bins and the robots. I mean, it was so clever. What was your favorite group that you saw shooting?
Man, even though it was probably the ones that almost hit me, it was absolutely the guys that were going down the shopping carts. No concern at all. The amount of time I saw these guys like wipe out, get up and be like, yeah, like ready to go again. They would load up at like one night. It was the second night, and they were like, let's just see how many people we can get. And like 12 people loaded up into a shopping cart, and we're just like, let's see if we can make this work. And then after that, they got bored of it, and they got the brilliant idea to grab the metal benches and stick 2 shopping carts on the end of it and sit in the middle. And I got a photo of it, but I was like, man, you guys are cool. Like, you guys are just like getting, messed up left and right, falling off the shopping cart, flipping over it, and you're just ready to go back at it again. It was more of just like the grit and determination to just keep going after that. I was just like, all right, man, I got some respect for it.
Yeah.
So you are a transfer from Louisville. Did Louisville have anything like this?
No, never. Not in my 3 years that I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mainly shot for athletics, but I also shot for the paper there, and there was no space for it, but also just like the student life wasn't like that at all. On a snow day, you'd see mainly just like a big snowman, but like nothing like this. I was unprepared for like what was happening. Abby had messaged me. She's like, "Oh yeah, there's going to be like a ton of people sledding," and I was like, it's not going to be that many. And then when I showed up, at least like 70, 80 people, maybe 100. Like, just so many people, and I was like, wow, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what is the paper like at Louisville?
It's small. It's a lot smaller. I think they have a good writing staff, but, they definitely don't have the resources like we do here. I don't think there's, like, a broadcast sort of like they do, or we do here, But, they have a good writing staff. They put in a lot of effort, but, here I think it's just incredible. We have so many different kinds of media. Photo department's great. The sports department, they put in a ton of effort. Broadcast, you guys with the podcast. It's the change has just been like super cool because now you go from a paper of just like it's like, oh, it's 9-10 people to like, oh my god, now we got like 60 people, and each department is working their butt off every day to like get the best stuff out.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a little bit more about you. What sparked your interest in becoming a photojournalist?
I was at Louisville, and I went to college during COVID, and originally I was like, I guess I'll go like the political science lawyer route, see what that's like, and COVID kind of killed my interest in that, and I switched over to communications because I can do something in there, like talking to people, and one summer I picked up a camera. And I was like, all right, this is pretty neat. And I got in touch with Louisville Athletics, and they said, yeah, we'd love another intern because our intern program died out during the COVID, so we need more people. And I started shooting for them. And my first game I shot was a men's soccer game. We won just like by 1 point, but I got this one image of the guy, and he was celebrating huge. He jumped on top of the guardrail between the field and the student section. He was just screaming his head off, and I was like, all right, that's a cool image. I want to try to get that again. And that's initially kicked off my interest. And as I kept going, I was like, man, I want to like really dive into this more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And Kentucky just kind of had a better program, and they had a bigger athletics, and not even that, but just a paper also. And I was like, that's the best way to like get into this is just surround myself in all different kinds of photography.
Yeah. So what are your classes like now at Kentucky?
I'm taking a lot of journalism courses since I switched my major from communications to journalism. I'm doing a lot of the like intro to journalism courses, but now I'm taking a black room photography class, so a lot of film, which is like completely new to me. It's really hard, actually. I was going into it, and I'm like, all right, I've heard film photography is not that easy, but it can't be that hard. It's difficult, man. Like developing it, you're sitting there and like everything matters down to the temperature, and I was like, all right, I'm taking my words back. I was completely wrong.
I have to ask, because you went to Louisville, L's up or L's down? I knew we were both thinking about this question. I was like, who's gonna pose it first?
Listen, man, went to Louisville for 3 years. Gonna have to say L's up honestly. But it did feel nice to be on the winning side of the rivalry we have at UK and U of L, especially at the football game where I shot it. Went in, I was like, all right, I'm not going home disappointed today. So this is a great feeling. Still rooting for the Cats always, though. Love you guys.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was like growing up. Maybe not now, but I was like, hey, if Louisville wins, that's okay.
Yeah, you know, especially working with athletics, because like you want to get the best possible shot, and you know, our jobs as photographers is even if your team's losing, you still have to make good photos, but it's really easy to make good photos when your team's winning.
Yeah.
And so whenever you do those matchups, you're like, love you Louisville, but take this L today for me.
Yeah. Make my job a little easier.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, with athletics, how do they assign you what sporting events you're going to go to?
So they send out a monthly schedule,
Okay.
And then we all just individually sign up for what we want to do. There are certain sports some people like taking, certain sports people don't like taking, and then there are some that are just kind of like off limits. Men's basketball and football, they usually reserve those to like people they know that can like work the environment. They're chaotic. It's especially football. You have tons of people on the field. There are guys that are 6'5", 250 pounds running at you that can run over you. You need to be behind a certain line. But we sign up for those sports individually, and hope you get them at least.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the line of danger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost got ran over at an EKU game one time.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
like the thin reflecting line. The reflection of the camera, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many camera guys get toppled over
Yep.
watching
Oh, yeah.
football.
Yep.
I remember
Oh my gosh.
I saw an AP guy. It was I think it was versus Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And we're playing defense, and their wide receiver catches the ball, and the defensive guy shoves him out of bounds and just goes straight smacking into him. You can hear the camera and him just like you can hear the pads hit the camera. It's just you're like that thing's broken, and that guy might have a broken bone.
Oh, jeez.
What is your favorite sport to take photos of?
I really like basketball.
Mm.
I'm a big NBA fan. I really like basketball, but like. That one, everybody wants to shoot basketball, especially Kentucky men's basketball.
Mhm.
So if I can't shoot basketball, then baseball, I love it. It's got my heart.
Yeah.
And every time I'm shooting it, I'm like, man, this is like it's a cool sport. You can really make some neat images with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know some people really like track. A lot of photographers love track, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have guessed that.
Me either.
Yeah. You can look at track photos, and honestly, they're some of the nicest stuff you can get, especially the good ones. We have, athletics. A couple of our guys really like it, and like the stuff they shoot and make. I mean, it's out of this world. You wouldn't expect they'd be able to shoot that.
Do you think that's just because it's just like the human body? I feel like they probably wear the least clothes out of any athlete, and you can just see like the muscles and stuff. Like not like in a weird way, but it's just like. This is the athlete, and they're like doing their thing, and you can see their body like moving. Do you think that's it?
I think the main reason why is because it's like, it's the same thing with like tennis and volleyball. You're gonna get a lot of the same shots, so it forces you to get creative with what's going on. And so when you're in that creative headspace, you're like, all right, how can I make this image cooler? Like, sure, you need to get the action shots of everybody running, doing the pole vault, throwing stuff, but it's like. How can I make this image more interesting? Like what can I do? You see somebody hanging out near the light, and you see it kind of like reflecting off their face. You can do stuff like that with it. So I feel like a lot of the photographers, they're just trying to be creative as much as they possible, because ultimately you're getting the same image. Somebody running is going to keep the same form throughout the whole track and the whole race, and somebody doing a pole vault is going to keep the same form. So it's like, how do you add your own creative twist to it?
Okay.
I didn't even think about that. That's so true.
Oh yeah, track drives me crazy. My boss and my buddy Caleb, they love it, and I'm sitting over here and I'm like, man, how do you guys do it?
Yeah,
like,
so you don't like it.
Listen, man, I'm trying to get more into it. I
Yeah.
spent not this past weekend, but like 2 weeks ago at Louisville shooting the track meet, and like it was tough because I was sitting there and I was like, God, you guys are like killing it. You're getting these cool images, and I'm over here like I can't figure it out, but I'm gonna really keep trying until I can eventually get that one picture where you're just like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I have one more question for you. Very broad. But to you, what does it mean to be a photojournalist?
I think it means to like one, capture history and tell a story. You know, I think a lot of what we're doing is, you know, how do you tell a story within a photo? You know, video is, first off, I think video is really hard to do. You know, you have to focus on a lot of different variables, but at the same time, you have the ability to like tell what's happening at the same time. You know, but like photo, it's like, how do you tell a story within a picture? And you know, I think it's up to us to figure out how to do that in that one moment, because it's a still photo, and it's like when you present it to the world, it's like what's happening. You know, you have one shot to kind of tell everybody like what's going on.
Thank you for coming on then. I guess.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. It was super cool. You know, I get to do all the like different forms of media. You know, not just photo. I think it's like fun. I always see the podcast too, and I'm like, man, I wonder what that's like to be on the podcast. And then Giana sent a text message saying, was like, hey, do you, Matthew, want to be on the podcast? And I was like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, no problem. I was
Yeah.
super excited to. You know?
Yeah, really appreciate
No problem.
appreciate it.
Thank you for all your hard work at the Kernel.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
It's been super fun. Enjoyed a whole bunch. Hope to be able to like bring home an award one day. You know.
Yeah, of
Get
course.
that
Yeah.
Hearst Award like Abby is. You know.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. All right. We'll see you later.
See ya.
All right, we're back with another edition of Scoops Out of the Litter, where we tell you what you need to know as a college student about what's in the news at the local, state, and national level. So, where do you think we should start today? I think we should start nationally.
National, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. So,
It's pretty quick.
Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the presidential candidate election. He is no longer a presidential candidate for the Republican Party.
Yeah. I don't even know who is left. I know,
I believe it's just Nikki Haley.
yes, who I saw on TikTok, which I know is not trustworthy news at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But that the queen herself, Judge Judy. I
Okay.
love Judge Judy. But anyways, she supported or like endorsed her campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a TikTok of her like on an interview talking about that, which I thought I don't know, it was kind of surprising coming from Judge
Yeah.
Judy. So I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, so that's the only alternative left if you don't want Trump, and I think that's what stands out about her,
Yeah.
is that she's very against Trump, because Ron, even though he took jabs at Trump during his campaign, he ended up endorsing him
Mm-hmm.
at the end of his campaign when he said he was ending it. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
it's getting heated, but obviously Trump is going to win the presidential bid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah, it's hilarious how it's two presidential candidates, and I think they both have probably the lowest approval from their parties
Yeah.
like possible.
Yeah.
Like it's like we know who they're gonna be, the
Right,
candidates are gonna
right.
be, but like nobody really wants either candidate.
No.
Like the average voter, obviously
right,
the
right.
Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they make their own choices, but yeah, kind of depressing.
Yeah. Again, I feel like it was last week where we talked about another candidate dropping, and now this week it's yet again another candidate. So it's funny how fast they're dropping this election almost.
Yeah,
It's insane.
I'm not sure what Nikki's going to do either, because, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people, the vibe was they're running to be in Trump's, what's it called? Just like his system.
Yeah.
Like when he gets elected, he
Yes.
obviously puts a ton of officials in office. It
Mhm.
felt like a lot of these guys were running, and they're saying, like, hey, once I'm out, like, I would like to be part
Right.
of
That's why I'm endorsing
the Trump
yeah, Yep.
presidency. Like Vivek. Vivek will
Mhm.
probably be a part of Trump's thing.
Yeah. I'll be very curious who the vice president will be if Trump is elected.
Yeah, I'm really curious too.
Who he'll nominate.
Yeah, it's not gonna be Ron, because I
Mm-mm.
believe they both reside in, not just because they don't really mess with each other, but there's like a there's a weird rule about if your vice president is from the same state as you,
Oh.
like an archaic rule or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like the electoral college can't vote for both of them for whatever reason.
Oh.
in that state.
I gotcha, I gotcha.
I think it's in that state. So obviously Florida's a pretty big state, so
Mhm.
you don't want to mess with the votes there.
That makes sense.
And it's probably unlikely that somebody's like two presidential candidates are going to both be from like North Dakota, where that wouldn't matter, where they have like
Right.
2 votes.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I don't think Ron will be the vice president.
Yeah.
He'll probably just go back to Florida.
Yep.
Florida-ing.
Florida
But
mean.
yeah, let's get to our state story, or I guess our city story. Lexington lit a beam up to aliens to communicate with them.
Nate, it's so bad because I'm like holding my laugh. You can't say it like that because it sounds, in my opinion, sounds a
They're
little
out there.
silly.
They're out there.
It sounds a tad silly to me. I
Okay.
think the first question,
Okay.
do you believe in aliens?
I think that it would probably be a little silly not to, just because the infinity of the universe is
True.
larger than our minds can comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think that there's infinite possibilities out there,
Mhm.
and there's probably another form of life. And there's like so many infinite possibilities that there's literally like Earths of us doing like separate things. Like there's an Earth where I just said a different word 5 seconds ago, and that's like the only difference.
Right.
Because
Alternate
it's so
universe.
infinite. Yeah.
Right.
And it's so hard to think about that. So yeah, I think there's probably life out there somewhere.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know because I totally see your point, and
Okay.
I do agree. Like this, there has to be another form on this universe, and just like you said, like the alternate universe where like 5 seconds ago you just said something different. Or I think there's definitely life, but it's also 2024,
Okay.
and like why have we not seen anything? There's been
Yeah.
nothing, and the same thing. It's like the green-headed aliens. Like that's not it.
Well, I think it's like
I just need a little bit more science and like actual proof that this might be an actual thing, because right now
yeah.
seems a little phony.
I get it. I get not thinking that it's out there because we haven't seen it,
Right.
obviously. But I think of like the Earth, and like the sun is supposed to be like this small star, right?
Yeah.
But it has so much power that we don't have. Like it has like 200 times the power or whatever it is than the Earth has. So like if we haven't found that information yet, probably because the Earth has so little power, we can't get out there to
Right.
explore, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like we can only see
Yeah.
so much. But yeah, it would be really cool if we knew there was proof and they were like neighbors and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that would be chill.
Yeah. Neighbors with our alien friends.
Yeah, okay, but let me explain the story. So, Lexington tourism, there's a way to like light a beam to go light years away or whatever, like how light travels,
Mhm.
like light travels in light years to the Earth and whatever. So, they did like a beam from Lexington, and it has like a code in it somehow. And the code has a message in it, and they say that like it will take 40 years to reach the alien civilization. That's how far away it is. And then
40
it would take
years?
another 40 years for a message from them to
I'll
come
be
back.
60 years old.
Yeah, well, that's when it reaches them. So
That's insane.
so you would have to live to 100 to actually know if they responded.
Jonas Brothers, cue the Jonas Brothers songs, year 3000. That's when we'll get the message.
Yeah, and I believe the Reagan presidency, or there was a presidency a while back that did it with like Pac-Man and stuff, I think.
Oh.
They sent like the code to Pac-Man up to aliens or whatever. So maybe we'll get a response on that quicker. So like by the time we're 40, maybe we'll see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool that Lexington, Kentucky would send a beam up. That's pretty neat.
Mhm. But let's get to our final local story, a
Yes.
story that I did.
Yes. There is, well, Nate, you can obviously please talk about this because you did an amazing broadcast, which everyone
Thank
should
you.
check out on kykernel.com on our
Mhm.
website. You can do Instagram. You can see it on YouTube, all at kykernel. So check out Nate. It is a new restaurant called Late Night. So Nate, tell us about this new restaurant. Who owns it? What they serve? Give me the scoop on it.
Yeah, so if you go on kykernel.com too, there's also a feature story done by one of our reporters to accompany it, and we have a photographer on the story as well, so it was really a whole multimedia thing. There's not only just the broadcast,
Yes.
but Late Night is a late night restaurant. Um, if people are familiar with the concept of cookout, where it's open very, very late, and it kind of has traditional fast food. That's the same vibe of Late Night. It stays open till 2 a.m., and it does not open until 6 p.m. And it's intended for students on campus to get late night food. It's right by our gaming lounge, our esports lounge. So people that are gaming late into the night, they can go over and grab a bite to eat. It's also located very close to the bars that are on campus.
Yes.
And so people coming home from the bars can also go get a bite to eat there. It's within a very short walking distance. So that was kind of the thought that the owner took when he created this business. And the owner is actually a UK student as well.
That's fascinating.
So he, was one of the people who wanted late night food, but he lived on campus, and he would have to take the bus all the way to Kroger Field, where his car was parked, and then drive to Cookout from there, and then, drive back to Kroger Field, and then come back home. Or he's door dashing, and door dashing is obviously pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So, he's like, what if I put a restaurant on campus that is much closer and open very late? And so he took advantage of that. And from what I heard, his restaurant's doing very well.
That's good. That's
very
great
well
to
so
hear.
far. And he actually only employs UK students as
Wow.
well. So I think it was just an excellent idea of his, and it's just really inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
He's a student, and he's done this as well.
Granted,
Last semester he was part-time, so he had more time to take care of the business. But I believe now this semester he's still running it, and he's full-time now. So he
Wow.
just brought in a couple of managers to, take over some responsibilities, and he's back to studying.
Yeah, that's really impressive. As a full-time student, that he is also the creator and owner of a restaurant on campus, or a fast food joint. Yeah. What was the owner like? What was his major, and his life?
So I can't remember what his exact major is. I want to say neuroscience, but I'm not sure. But he's definitely in STEM, something that requires like a lot of studying and science and math and everything. So it's not like a light major or anything like that. Like he's really doing the work, and it's also not a business major as well. He is just business savvy.
Yeah.
He's getting a degree for something entirely different.
Is Late Night open every single night, or?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
to be honest.
Yeah, but that's still really convenient that it's open till 2 a.m.
Yeah,
And
on
what
most
does
days.
delivery look like?
Oh, yeah, the delivery is super interesting, too, because I talked about the DoorDash thing, and he has less of a fee on his delivery. He still does DoorDashes, but he also has his own delivery service himself.
Oh, wow.
And he has one employee that rides on a scooter, an electric scooter, with a backpack of the food in it,
Wow.
like a obviously an
Yeah.
insulated backpack, and everything, not like a normal school backpack. But yeah, he has somebody riding on a scooter around campus to go and deliver the food.
That's really nice. Yeah, that sounds really, really convenient for students on campus.
Yeah, with a lot less of a delivery fee as well.
Yes. Yeah. Grubhub and all of DoorDash, all of them are getting a little pricey.
Yeah.
So that's really nice that there's a restaurant now on campus that you can eat very late at night. And a clever name. Like such a clever name.
Yeah.
So, and I love that you can see the little sign because, again, it's right by the esports lounge on Limestone. And you can see the little neon sign outside. And I always think about it because I'm like, oh my God, Nate covered that story. And yeah, I want to try their food.
Yeah.
Because the menu, I peeked at the menu. It looks super simple and just chicken tenders, fries, burgers. So it looks really delicious.
Yeah, I got the chicken sandwich. It was pretty good. They got good stuff there for sure. Yeah, they just kept it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, the business model is super cool.
Awesome.
Okay, so I guess that finishes off Scoops of the Litter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for listening to this episode. We really appreciate it
Yeah.
and hope that you tune in.
And watch out for aliens.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Watch out. They're coming. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. All right. Outro song.